Hey everyone, welcome to Your Enneagram Coach, the podcast. I'm Beth McCord, your Enneagram Coach, and I am really excited about today because I have a dear friend also who became an Enneagram coach through us, and she is now an author twice over, and she has a new book out that I know you're going to want to hear about. And the cool thing is her book comes out the same day as my book. And my book, The Enneagram for Moms, parallels with her book. So hang in there with me because what she has to offer is truly going to be life-changing for families in general. So let me just dive right in and let you meet her right now. Hey, Ansley, this is so great to see you. How are you?
I'm so good and so excited to be here with you today. And I'm just
Yeah.
thrilled. You're one of my favorite people.
Oh, wow. Yay. Awesome. Okay. Well, let's start with, who you are, like where you're from, where you live, your type, so people can know that.
Mm,
And then tell us a little bit about your journey in discovering the Enneagram and where it's brought you today.
absolutely. So I am in and from Louisiana.
Okay.
Although I've had some, traveling around. I went to college in Nashville. We moved to New York City, lived in Houston. So I've seen some things. But I just love Louisiana. It's so unique. So I just always like to talk about where I'm from.
Hmm.
And I am a type 2 wing 3,
Hmm.
if that means anything to anyone. It's one of those things every time I talk about my type, I'm like, "Oh," because I wanna be a 7, but that's how
Aw.
I really know that it's my type because it always makes me uncomfy.
Yeah.
Um, and I actually found the Enneagram, I wanna say this was, like, 2013-ish.
Okay. Yeah.
One of my friends introduced it to me. She brought a book to me, and I was like, "What is this crazy word on this cover?"
Yes.
But, um, I had just gotten out of a relationship, like, I'd gone through this huge traumatic breakup, all the things, and I realized I was never going to get closure with this person, but I had so many questions, like, "Why are you the way that you are? Why?" You know? And then, "Why am I the way that I am? Like, what about this? How did this not work?" All of those questions that you never actually get answers to, but whenever she brought me the book, I started digging into it and I was like, wait, this is literally answering all of my questions. I'm understanding how this person is the way that he was and understanding why I reacted to that in this way and what I was doing. So it absolutely changed my life. I was obsessed with it from the get go. I met my husband 6 months later, and of course, as beginning into the Enneagram, I'm like, "Oh gosh, what is he?" I'm trying to analyze him and diagnose
Yes.
him.
Is this gonna be a right fit or bad fit? Are we the right combination or not? Like, it's like there
Yes.
are no right combinations except for 2 healthy types, no matter what types. But
Yeah.
people really do think that there are bad combinations, and that makes sense.
Mhm.
I mean, like, 'cause we're with our significant other and we're struggling, so we must be the worst type. That's how people usually go about it. So it's like they're always trying to find the right type to match theirs. And it's like, no, you just have to be, and they have to be a healthy version or at least working on yourself. So
Yes,
anyway, so you were
yes.
trying to diagnose, is that
Mhm.
right?
Oh,
His
yeah,
type?
for sure, and then I would get freaked out because I would read about the 7, and I'd be like, "Oh my gosh, if he's a 7, is he actually gonna commit?" You know?
That's right.
Spoiler alert, he did commit and he's not a 7, he's a 3. So he's a 3 wing 4 and I'm a 2 wing 3.
Yeah, that's great, that's great. And so you dove into it at that stage, and then where did it take you?
Mm. Oh my gosh, I think it took me to a level of self-discovery and spiritual growth, which happens to be the subtitle of my new book, but that was really what it gave me. It
Yeah.
was just a level I had never known before. It was like,
Mhm.
okay, not only do I understand why people are the way that they are or what their motivations are, but I actually understand why God made me in this certain
Yeah.
way. Like I, for the first time, looked in the mirror and I was like, whoa, Lord, I
Mhm.
get it, and I feel so much closer to you because I just kinda see where you were coming from, and I
Mhm.
understand why you gave so many people these gifts, and I understand where we can find dependence on you and our weaknesses. I understand like, it just so tied me to the Lord, and I finally was just on this, like, upward trajectory with the Lord
Mhm.
where it just felt like communication cleared up. It felt like I didn't have as many question marks around myself, and if he made a mistake when he made me and made certain aspects of me. So it was just this beautiful discovery with God of, "Oh, wow, like, this is amazing," and what you did when you made humans was so incredible, and I finally just got to see a little bit from that lens, and it was so healing, it was just
Yes.
such an amazing process, and from there, obviously, you can't stop talking about it whenever you love something.
Right. That's
So, I'm
right.
telling everybody, and it eventually I started getting these questions like, "Do you coach people in this? Like, are you is this what you do for a job, or are you?" And I was like, "No, embarrassingly enough, I just talk about it for fun." That's what led me to be like, "Maybe I should. Maybe I should become a coach." And I think I wanna say it was like 2020 that I was
Uh-huh.
like, "Okay, I'm gonna dive into this. I'm gonna become a coach," and became certified under your Enneagram coach. You.
Woohoo!
And I loved it.
Yeah.
I genuinely still remember where I was when I started the program, the certification program, because I was like, I knew it was something big.
Mhm.
I knew it was something really amazing for other
Yeah.
people, for me, for the people directly near me. And so I'm always thankful for you and all of your work.
Aw, thanks. Yeah, but I totally know that feeling because that's how I remember going through my certification program, and yeah, just the life-changing perspectives that it gave, the healing, and also the trajectory to be able to help others
Mhm.
walk their path towards loving themselves and the freedom, like, just like you said, it's like, yes, that's exactly what I want people to do, is to see themselves through the eyes of God, in the sense of he didn't make mistakes when
Yeah.
he designed us. Like, God doesn't create junk, and he doesn't junk what he creates. So we can take a step back and go, I was designed this way. Now, yes, we're on the side of heaven. So we're in the fall. Yes, we have weaknesses and sins and liabilities and all that stuff that hurt us and others, but the way he created us to reflect him is amazing. And
Yeah.
same with all the 9 types. And so we get the privilege and the honor to literally surrender and depend on him to make us more like him. And
Yes.
the more he makes us like him, the more joy we have, the more freedom we have, and the more blessings others get. Um, so I totally know what that experience is like, to go through a program and really just have everything light up within you,
Yeah.
because you can almost see the people that God is going to bring your way to
Yeah.
help and serve and watch them grow. Has that been true for you?
Absolutely. And I mainly work with and focus on young adults, and whenever I would talk with them about the Enneagram, it's so powerful because even if they're teenagers, young adults, in their 20s, it's kind of like you just see those light bulbs go off
Yeah.
and you kind of see those connections being made. And I'm like, it's so encouraging and empowering to watch that happen. And I'm just like, you are about to be on a journey with the Lord. And I'm so excited to, have been part of the genesis of it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, okay, so that's kind of your path, and then you became certified, and then what? Like, what's been going on since then?
Oh my gosh, everything, all the things, all the time.
Yeah.
So, I love working with individuals, I love working with couples, I love working, in the business sphere, like, bringing it to corporate offices, I think is really cool as well.
Mhm.
But my favorite people group to educate about the Enneagram are, like I said, young adults.
Yeah.
And that is where I've definitely been. focused. I was a high school minister in
Mm,
Houston at a church that I dearly, dearly love. And so I was really able to lead a group of student leaders in their giftings, in the what God has called them to do in life and how that can apply as they're serving in the church.
mhm.
And I loved it. And we got to talk about the Enneagram quite a bit. And I definitely wasn't telling them like go and, you figure out your type immediately and that's your type for the rest of your life because they are still growing and learning and developing. But I was hoping that they would just start a journey of self-discovery, start a
Right.
journey of understanding a little bit more of what God was doing when he created us. So
Mhm.
I did that, and once my husband got transferred for work, I wasn't able to obviously stay working there, which I would have
Yeah.
forever. Um, but then I moved into the writing sphere and became a full-time, writer, author, speaker, and podcast host. So
Mhm.
that is what's been happening
And
since then.
TikToker.
And TikTok, yeah. TikTok was one of those like 2020, we're all trapped. And that's whenever I was starting my certification. So I
Yeah.
was like going through, it was all I was thinking about. So I started creating content around it and yeah, loved it. So that was right before we moved. And then I
Mm.
moved into full time in other realms. But I
Yeah.
still, you know, I still work with young adults. I still talk to young adults all the time,
Yeah.
mentor, um, speaking, all of that stuff.
Okay, so the next big thing that's on your plate literally happens the same day my next big thing happens, and
Yes.
that's our book releases.
Yep.
And I was recently on your podcast
Mhm.
and we had such a great time. I was like, "Oh my gosh, I've got to bring you on my podcast because our books kind of I would say they walk alongside each other,
Yes.
right?"
Yeah.
And so I was like, I want my audience to hear it as well. So my book that's coming out on July 9th
Yeah.
is Enneagram for Moms.
Mhm.
And it's really focusing on how moms can understand their own developmental story, how God created them,
Yep.
and how to lovingly care for themselves to be the healthiest version of who God created them to be so that they can be that person to as many children as God gives them um, in a way that is non-anxious and a connected presence to their kids
Love it.
by exhibiting the healthiest parts of them and not trying to create many versions of themselves, but instead just offer the best of who they are to their kids while they help shape them. So that book is coming out July 9th. And then your book is coming out the same day. So tell us what your
Yes.
book is like and how we kinda see it as this side by side journey together.
Oh, absolutely. And I have to tell you about your book, how excited I am. Yes, because I'm a mom. I have a 2.5-year-old. I hope to have more children, of course, but also as a youth group leader, as a someone who works with young adults, what you're saying is so applicable to that realm as well, because you are in a mothering role as all of these young adults are forming, and you get to play a part and speak into their lives, sometimes with a bigger voice
Yeah.
than you even know, because students, it's always my favorite thing was to be like, okay, parent, what do you want to say to them? What are you trying to get them to learn right now? Okay, I'm just going to tell them the exact same thing. And and
Yeah.
they would listen to me sometimes
That's
more
right, yeah.
than their parent.
That's
But
right.
when you're saying not making many versions of themselves, that's so huge for anyone in a leadership role, anyone who just has a
Mhm.
mothering heart, to get your book, because that I could have done that to them, right? I still could have done
Oh,
that even though
very
they
much.
weren't my biological kids. Like they were
Mhm.
so a part of my life, I was so a part of theirs, and continue to be. So anyway, I'm excited for your book for all of those reasons and all of those aspects.
Yeah, thank you, that's so fun.
Oh,
Okay,
yeah.
now your book
Yes,
is
Enneagram for teens.
yay!
If you're watching, you can see it, but it is a complete guide to self discovery and spiritual growth. It's pretty much the most basic introduction to the Enneagram, but it
Mhm.
also informs teens how you can grow in communication, how you might interact with other people, with your relationships, with your romantic relationships or just platonic relationships, what career you might be interested in. What are some
Mhm.
reflection questions? What are some prayers that you can, pray over yourself? What are some ways that the Lord might be wanting to connect with you? And all of these are kind of broken up. Oh, also, why does that one sibling drive you absolutely insane?
Yeah,
Like
right.
that kind of stuff. And it's very much meant to start their journey, but they're not meant to finish it by the end of the book.
Right.
Very much
Yeah.
the beginning.
I think we all know, especially as we get older, it's never over. Like,
Yeah.
it's just this forever journey. I think when we're younger, we're hoping that it's just like a one and done thing. And
Mhm.
it's like, no, yeah, because we have different seasons of life, and every season there's a new discovery and figuring it out and relying on the Lord and growing and all the things. But yeah, I love that perspective. Um, okay, so tell me a little bit more about like why you wrote this book and what your hope or goal is at the end for like the teens, because this really is written to the teens,
Yeah.
whereas mine is written to the moms.
Yeah.
And mine, I think a lot of people think that I'm talking just to young moms. I'm talking to all moms. I'm talking to people like me who are grandmothers, to great grandmothers, because there's never a time where you can't start learning about yourself and offering the best of who you are, and then even repairing and healing,
Yeah.
maybe where you've done things you didn't even realize that you were causing harm or misunderstandings. And so just want to make that clear, because I think some people think, oh, it's just for young moms. No, this is for all moms. Like, I am still a mom, even though my kids are grown. Like, I'm still actually, I think it almost helps even almost more when your kids are grown and they probably know their type, or you're really trying to
Yeah.
solidify that relationship on an ongoing basis. You can have those conversations. Anyway, so, but your book is really written to teens, for teens. And so, what is your hope that once they read it, what are you hoping them to feel, do, etc.?
Yeah, I'm really hoping for them to grow in their understanding of themselves and in communication with others. I think
Hmm.
one of the big things that I saw with teens and parents is this breaking of communication. Like they just couldn't communicate to each other, they couldn't
Mm,
connect. And both of them would say this phrase, and it was like, they just don't understand. And
yeah,
that phrase was so, um, it was such a pain point for both
yeah,
parties. So, moms and adults have a lot of these resources about their teen, kind
yeah,
of like there's books about how to raise a teenager, right? But
yeah.
that's equipping the mom or parent or caregiver with more information, but it's not really equipping the teen. The
That's
teen
right.
is
Yeah.
smarter than we give them credit for. I'd speak to them like I would speak to anybody else because I want to call them up. I want to
Yes.
encourage them and I want them to feel like, "Oh, she believes in me. She's not talking down to me or dismissing my problems or my heart hurts. I'm upset about this grade and she's not telling me to get over it."
Right.
Which happens a lot. So, anyway, this is my hope and tool for the teen to grow in that understanding, to grow in that communication. Because the truth is, and what my prayer is that when they read this book, they'll not only understand more about themselves, but they will understand more about other people around them. They will, stop the bully from bullying someone else,
Mm,
because they'll be like, I see you're probably struggling with this, and I'm just going to speak life into your life. They will speak life and just words of affirmation over other people or whatever that other type needs to
mhm,
hear. And I don't hope that they go around typing each other, but I do hope that it illuminates something in them, just like it illuminated something in me, where it does
mhm.
set them on a trail of spiritual growth and set them on a path of self discovery. Then I also hope that that builds that bridge of communication between them and their caregiver,
Yeah.
between those two parties, where they don't have to say, they just don't understand anymore, where they can finally see where the other person is coming from, and
Mm.
the caregiver not feel exhausted because they feel like it's all on them. It's
Sure. Yeah.
equipping that teen to really be able to be emotionally intelligent and be able to
Mhm.
understand why things feel confusing and crazy sometimes outside of hormones and all of those things, and what they can do about it and
Right.
how it can inform their decisions. A
Right.
lot of the times I was talking to my sister who I am dying to type, but she is too young, but I'm like, I want to type you so bad. I mean, I have thoughts, but I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna put her in the box. I'm not gonna type her.
Yeah.
But she is 16.
Okay. Yeah.
One of those things that she's struggling with right now is like, what am I gonna do for the rest of my life?
Mhm.
And so I'm like, okay, when you read this book, if she reads this book, always the
Right.
daughter or the sister that doesn't actually read it. I'm like, this book is dedicated to you. Anyway, I'm hoping that when she reads it, she recognizes, oh, I'm really gifted in this. So maybe this type of career might motivate me.
Yeah.
And any type can do any career, but admittedly, if I, as a very social two, were in an administrative, isolated role, I would be miserable because it wouldn't
Mhm.
motivate me. There wouldn't be a lot of bodies and warmth and people. But
Right.
my one of my great friends and coworkers, she's a 5. Administrative and isolation is her vibe. She
Right. Right.
loves it. So I'm hoping that that provides for them some clarity as well on paths moving forward, decisions they need to make.
I totally needed that in high school because they gave me, like, I think they give it to all kids, or at least, I mean, this was back in the early 90s, or as some of the, Gen Z say, the late 1900s.
Yeah.
Anyway, um, they gave me, like, some career test, and I came out as, they said I would enjoy being a forest ranger. And I'm like, "Forest," and so I just kinda, like,
Forest
almost like, and
ranger.
of course, being a 9, it's like, I I'm pretty sure that's not what I want to
Yeah.
be, but that
If
didn't even
they
give
say
me, it didn't give me any inclination of what I actually would want to do. It didn't even help
yeah.
direct me, and so I love that approach that you're giving. Is it's not, "You should do this job," it's, "Here's how you are wired. Here's what you might want to consider when you're looking into a career." Because all 9 types can do any career, but you need to be aware of the positive aspects that can really play into your strengths, and then where there might be aspects that can really trip you up with either your weaknesses or things that you don't enjoy. Um, and so that is where it's key. Like, like at that type 5, Jeff, when he was an executive pastor, um, they, they had all the offices like on the outside of this kind of common area, and, so they all would kind of like, see each other all the time and talk and interact. Well, the spirit, or the worship leader, was a type 5. Well,
Oh,
he spent most of his time not in his office. He would spend it behind the stage in this other office. And the team was kind of like, "Hey, Jeff, I can you, like, get him back here so we can, like, interact and kinda, like,
mhm.
build relationship?" And then Jeff understood his type, and he did talk to him just, like, to clarify, like, "Hey, I think this is maybe why you're doing this, but I just wanted to clarify." And he was actually in the other office to garner up enough interactive energy so that when he was with everyone, he could interact on a level that was best for everyone.
Mhm.
And unless you understand that, you could force someone into a situation that actually you're depleting them
Yeah.
versus actually encouraging them. And so I think that's such a great tool that you're giving teens, is to give them a heads up, a clarity of where they really could excel, but also those kind of warning spots. So, yeah, I needed that. I'm not
Me too.
I'm not a forest ranger, though I do love being out and outdoors. That's about as far as it goes.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
and
but
I
yeah.
think that my, like, you know, what was it, career test thing,
Uh-huh.
I can't even remember what it said, but I remember being like, "No." I don't
Yeah.
I think it was one of those administrative things, and I was like, I am the least detail-oriented person, and it's awful. I hate it. I wish I was better, but you know what? Jamie is amazing at it, so that's why we're a great duo.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
But yeah, I remember that being the case and being like, "Oh, this doesn't know me at all."
Yeah. So a lot of the people that listen to my podcast are going to be predominantly women, not all, but predominantly women,
Mhm.
probably ages, let's say late 20s to early 40s. But of course, there's a wider spectrum than that. But that's kind of the typical range, the bell shaped curve. So we are going to have lots of people that are listening that do have preteens, teens, kind of in that era, and then, of course, they have kids all over the place, but I
Sure.
could just imagine there's a lot of people that have kids in that realm or maybe coming up into that realm. So how and they're probably all like, "Oh my gosh, yes, a book for my teen," and they're gonna want to buy it and, like, give it to their teen and, like, this is gonna solve all the problems, which I wish that was true,
Yeah,
but
maybe 1 or 2.
yeah, but I think the important thing is yes, I think it's great to get the book, see if they're interested. If a teen's not interested, that's just, it's not going to happen. Just
Yep.
like for all of us,
Mhm.
can't really force us into something. But a parent who's really looking to connect with their teen, they want to know how to care, to love, to nurture, to help them discover their own path and journey. What would you recommend? You either getting the book for their teen, not getting the book for the teen, letting them, know that it's out there. Like, what would you say to those parents out there that are really excited to get this for their teen and have them read it?
Yeah. I think the coolest thing about our you and I's books coming out on the same day is that they can truly, just like you said, walk alongside each other actually
Mhm.
in the home. The
Yeah.
most the most ideal scenario for me in my head is that the caregiver mom, has the Enneagram for moms, and they gift the teen the Enneagram for teens. And
Yeah.
then they read it together on the same pace, and they're
Yep.
sorry, able to talk about it. And they're able to say, "Hey, I learned this about myself. I learned this about myself. What does that mean for our relationship?" And
Yep.
that's
And we
like
didn't we
ideal.
didn't write this knowing that our books would come out on the
No,
same day.
no, that was the
But
Lord.
that is the Lord. I just think, "Oh, man, the Lord's so good."
Yeah,
Um, I mean, obviously, he's always good, but and it's always surprising that we're surprised that he's so good.
I
Like, he's
know.
always good. Anyway, yeah, I totally agree, for it to be a side-by-side thing. Again, if the kids are interested, and I think we
Yeah,
can set that up in a very non-threatening, like, "Hey, I would love to get to know you. I know that I don't understand you a lot of
mhm,
times, and that's gotta be frustrating. I bet you so wish that I could understand you, and I wish I understood you. And I want to have a more non-anxious, connected presence with you, but sometimes I don't because I don't know you. I don't understand, and it makes me anxious, and I wanna work on myself, and so I'm gonna get this book for me, and really, dads out there, the book applies to you too.
yeah.
So you can get the Enneagram for Moms and read it.
Yeah,
Um, but I'm gonna get this book because I wanna understand myself better so that I can grow and be a healthier mom to you, no matter what Enneagram type you are. Um, but I wanna give this to you because I want you to have something that you feel seen, heard, and understood, and then you can help me to know you better.
mhm.
What other ways can parents bridge this gap of communication and understanding with their teens? Because I'm sure so many of them out there just feel like, "Beth, that sounds really nice, but that's not gonna work because of whatever."
Yep.
How can we bridge this gap?
Yeah, I think one of the things that help with teenagers and communication and hard conversations is to meet them where they are. So
Mhm.
you don't have to have this sit down at the dinner table. Let's sit down and read a book together. And as dreamy as that is, that's awesome. I would love that. That sounds
Yeah.
great. sounds like a piece of pie. But a lot of times it's at midnight where they want they want to
Mhm.
open up. Or and you're like sleep deprived and you're like, I don't know what I learned today in my book because I'm exhausted. But
Yeah.
that's where they are. They're ready to open up. They're ready to talk. So kind of just having that open-mindedness. But a lot of times what I love is driving in the car with young
Mm.
adults. Like they're if you're driving somewhere on an errand, whatever, just ask them a simple question. Just be like, "Hey, are you liking this book or what chapter are you on?" Or I learned this about myself. As soon as you give a little bit of vulnerability, they are like they eat it up. They really do. Even
Mm.
if they don't outwardly express that.
Yeah.
They feel I mean, you because you're essentially when you're vulnerable with them, telling them that they're safe and that, you in turn will be safe for them if they ever want to, share
Mhm.
something. And yes, like you said, you can't force them to do anything. But
Mhm.
the more that they see you doing it, the more their interest is gonna be piqued, especially if it says, you know, something like if you're the mom is even reading through the Enneagram for teens while learning a little bit more about the Enneagram for moms, you can just speak to what's in it. Oh,
Mm.
I saw this thing about the career. What are you thinking you would want to do one day? I would think you
Yeah.
are so gifted at XYZ. That would be so cool if you like that
Yeah.
kind of thing. And just kind of be very relaxed about it. They are already under a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
And I think that we can forget that. But we feel like we're under a lot of pressure. And they don't know that, well, A, they are under a lot of pressure, honestly. I was terrible in school. Um, and so it just felt like a lot of pressure all the time. So just kind of putting your mind back when you were in high school. And,
Mhm.
Beth, you said that you wish you had this kind of thing when you were in high school. Okay. What does the mom wish they would have had in high school? A little more
Yeah.
self awareness, a little more whatever, few more tools. Okay. Well, now they have that. So you can kind of learn through it how to speak their language, and I'm not saying you have to use slang, Gen Z,
Right.
but you don't have to ask them the hard questions. You have to ask them
Yeah.
simple questions that will lead up to them just kind of overflowing information. And they will. They
Yeah.
will.
And wouldn't you say and yeah, I would just love to hear like your little professional opinion on this is it's best to ask questions than
Yeah.
constantly be giving lectures or discussions or even though as
100%.
parents typically enjoy or love or thinking we have to do that or should do that um, which is really coaching, right?
Yeah.
So as a coach we learn how to ask lots of questions and help the person discover for themselves what is best for them or where they're at. So talk a little bit more about that. Like what does it look like for a parent who, let's say, they've always been, I mean, because when they were little, we had to teach them all the things, right? Like,
Yeah.
don't do this because of this, don't do that because of that. Beware of this. Those are good things, but now at the teenage years, it's different. What is different, and how should they approach it?
Everything is different with social media. I think
Right.
everything is different. And I, in high school, was there for the introduction of social media. So I know how it affected me whenever I was
Mm,
younger. There's a lot of comparison. There's a lot of like, what do I need to do? What am I missing out on? A lot of FOMO.
yep.
So I'll give this example um, of how to approach any conversation if you're trying to instill some wisdom while asking a question. And it actually has to do with my first book. It's called Don't Date a Boo Boo Dude. And it was a silly title, but it has some serious content in it. And the goal of that book is to help teens and young adults not get into abusive or toxic relationships. Okay.
Mm,
So it's a heavy topic, but it has a very light title. And I use that as the conversation around dating and around relationships. So I'll be like, Has anyone, let's say I'm having a small group or even just talking to one girl, I'll be like, "Have you ever dated a boo-boo dude?" They'll be like, "What are you talking about? What is a boo-boo dude?"
Yeah, what?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and so then I'm like, "Oh, well, boo-boo dude just doesn't treat you right. He's not calling you back. He's leaving you on red. You're wondering where he is all the time. He's, XYZ," and I'm listing this thing. And they're like, "Oh, yeah, I guess I have." And
Mhm.
that's it. That is that conversation done. Be like, "Oh, yeah, me
Yeah.
too. Me too one time. Oh, they are crazy," and that's it. You've given one little nugget. Then the next time you want to approach this conversation, or you see a behavior from their dating life, they're like, "Oh, he has not talked to me in 3 days." You can be like, "That's a little boo-boo, isn't it?" And, and it lets their guard down, but it also
Yeah.
gives them credit to think. Like, "Hey, you know better than that. We already talked about this. This is a little boo-boo, isn't
Mhm.
it?" And
Yep.
they will be like, "Yeah, that is a little boo-boo." Like, yeah. And it's up to them to take action, but you at least have another nugget, another,
Yeah.
penny in the piggy bank. And so that kind of thing will help bridge a gap of communication. It's
Mm.
very short spurts of connection. And if you can have the light kind of way to spark it, then you can really get deep in a short amount of
Yeah.
time. And I hope that makes sense. That's how I approach
Yeah.
a lot of my conversations with teens and young adults is I'm like, "You are smarter than that. You are better than that. Oh, come on," and kind of,
Yeah. So it's a lot of affirmation with lightheartedness.
yes. Yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely.
Yeah. And I mean, because that can be hard because I know a lot of parents, they're in the weeds with their kids. They love their kids. They're wanting to do whatever it takes.
And you have the
And so,
answers, and they just won't ask the question for you to get the
yeah.
answer.
Yeah. So, it's challenging as parents because we feel like there's so much at stake and we want the best for our kids. But I love what you were saying is just like, even just those small, quick wins. You don't have to have long conversations. You don't have to finish the thought that you're hoping to land. Like that might take a month or 6 months to actually get from point A to point B. And that's okay.
Mhm.
Like there's many months, many years to come, and I- and this is what we talk about in the book, being a non-anxious present
Yeah,
parent and connected parent. So, and that's hard to be non-anxious, but we know that God ultimately has our kids. And so we can approach it with a less anxious presence. It's kind of like, I know this is probably people are going to laugh at it, but if you've watched Caesar Milan, the dog
oh,
whisperer,
yeah, yeah.
it's totally like he'll come in and like the dogs are crazy and the dog parent has, tried this, that, and the other. And then he just takes like literally 2 minutes. And like the dog totally is different because he comes into it with a non anxious, assertive presence.
Yeah,
And, um, and he has learned and trained himself to do that, even with really hard cases, and they follow suit right away. And that's really the heart behind my book is that when we as parents take ownership of our own self-development, our
mhm,
own growth,
mhm.
our kids will follow suit to a point. We don't know how much, no matter what type they are.
Yeah,
But they're going to grow in their own type. We don't have to force them into it. It's the more we do our own work,
yeah,
the more it's going to show and the more it's going to benefit them and us and the relationship. And it's just this ripple effect that goes. And so that's why I just so encourage parents not to pick up the teen book so that their kids will change,
yeah,
forcing the change. Pick it up to be curious.
yeah,
When we're curious, so much good happens. When you're just trying to figure it out and trying to fix it, it really starts creating kind of a knot, if you will, in the relationship
mhm,
because they're not going to follow your exact protocol or what you're hoping for. But that curiosity is so, enriching to the relationship with your teens
absolutely.
and a curiosity about yourself, I think it's so healthy. So I really am excited for the work that you're doing, and that you're really just bringing the expertise that God has already given you in the space that you love, with young adults, teens, and helping to give language around the Enneagram, self-discovery, self-understanding, and growth in a way that truly blesses them. Any like last thoughts that you would love either the parents or if the teens are listening,
Yeah.
what you would love them to know, whether it's about the book or the Enneagram or growth?
Oh man, I think the number one thing I would want parents to know is, like you said, be a student of your student and depend on the Lord for
Mm.
strength to stay the course because that's going to be a challenge because I know how frustrating it can be, but I love the anti anxiety approach that you're talking about, and obviously pick up the Enneagram for Moms. And to the teens, I would say you are so smart. You are the future.
Mm.
So let's invest in yourself. Invest in yourself by reading. Do not stop reading. I stopped
Mhm.
reading for a little bit, and I can tell you in my life, like in the series of my life, because I was burnt out from school. Now I read almost a book a week, and I just feel
Mhm.
like so much more equipped for the world. So this is a tool in your tool belt, and I believe in you. That's what I
Yeah.
would definitely want the teen to know. And for the parent and teen combo, I pray that this builds a bridge of communication where you're growing in empathy and understanding for one another. That is always
Yeah.
the goal. And you can reach
Yeah.
out to me if you have any questions.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, so with that, where can they find you?
Yep. So I am at enneagramwithainsleybee.com or at AinsleyB on Instagram or info at ainsleybritain.com. Any of those places. The last one's an email.
Great. Well, everyone go pre-order her book, join her book launch team, go pre-order my book, Enneagram for
Yeah.
Moms, and join my book launch team. They both come out on July 9th. So it's just around the corner.
Yes. So
And you get pre-order bonuses. So just go get it now.
yeah.
And then join both uh, launch teams, get the pre-book bonus order get the pre-order bonuses
Yeah.
that are going to absolutely benefit you. I know that for you and me, we created these because they're tools that are absolutely beneficial. So,
Yeah.
and that's really our heart. Our heart is just to give the next generation of teens for you, the next generation of moms, grandmas, and great grandmas, the ability to have good relationships with themselves, with God, and with others.
Yes.
So, Ainsley, thank you so much for coming on. Thank you so much for continuing the work that you're doing. It is absolutely life changing for not just the teens, but everyone around them. So keep doing the hard work that you're doing. And for everyone else, thanks for joining me. And next week, I am going to interview my kids who are now adults. What was it like for them to be raised with your Enneagram coach, who wasn't your Enneagram coach until they were in their late teens? But I did know the Enneagram since they were 1 and 3. So listen in
I
to
can't
what it was like to grow up with me and the Enneagram. All right. Until then, I'll see you guys. Thank you. Bye.
wait. Bye.